Welcome to the Whitespring Bunker.
These halls were built to safeguard some of the most prestigious members of the United States government.
Now we are all that remains, though we are always looking for men and women capable of restoring what has been lost.
In return, we offer this, our refuge from the world above. Please, take your time and look around. Our assets have made great efforts to restore this place to its former glory.
Welcome, member, to our little enclave.
Greetings, members. As always, I am the Operative, your designated tour guide and host here at the Whitespring. Our survivors converge on the resort with a desperate plan to rescue the Colonel. With the odds stacked against them, the future of Appalachia hangs in the balance. Meanwhile, Red and Cherry are closing in on their quarry in their mission to rescue Antlers. Cyrus and Violet will discover just how high a price there is to be paid when you cross a girl from the Tennessee hills. And back in the Mire, Abigayle Singh returns home. With the region once again in danger, the last of the Free Staters gets another chance to turn the tide. The group of operatives stood outside the old miners' memorial, south of the Whitespring Resort. An inactive fisher site was just over the hill, the site of one of the first battles between the new Enclave and the Scorched, though it was more of a training exercise, as then Captain Stein had been putting a group of new recruits through their paces when a Scorch beast has emerged from the open fissure. The fight had been short and brutal, but Stein had put the beast down with a minigun and earned the respect of the new Enclave operatives. Those days were long past, and stories like that weren't told anymore, at least not by those still trapped behind the walls of the resort.
They're late.
Then we wait.
After another 15 minutes, there was a rumble, and the ground started to shake. On the road a few hundred feet from the memorial, the concrete buckled and was pushed aside by a giant drill emerging from the ground. Ordinarily, this would have been cause for amazement, or even fear. But instead, the operatives merely watched as the drill finally stopped and a large door opened in the side. Several figures in gray-black armor dropped to the ground, while another put out a ramp. One of the figures walked over to meet the new Enclave operatives.
You're late.
Couldn't be helped. The underground geology is unforgiving around here. Didn't want to crash into an ultrasite beam. That would have made everyone pretty damn unhappy.
You have the materials as agreed?
Figured you want the manifest. Here you go. Ultrasite batteries. And I'm not joking when I say, don't drop them. Advanced circuitry. 4 crates, quantum vacuum tubes, 2 crates, and miscellaneous items as listed.
And the research?
Oh yeah, almost forgot. We have one last crate with the holotapes containing all of the requested data.
Good. We'll confirm the manifest against the delivery. If everything is here, we can proceed.
It'll all be here.
That remains to be seen.
Over the next half hour, crate after crate was offloaded by the Greys and meticulously inspected by the operatives. Neither said more than a couple of words to the other, until the final box was put on the ground.
That's everything.
Quantities and materials match. You may leave.
What? No thank you?
The operative just stared at Grey 43, until she turned and motioned to the other operatives. Each one moved to secure the crates, and started dragging them over to a waiting caravan of Brahmin. The Greys watched, then returned to the motherlode.
Not what I expected.
I was talking to Grey 11. That representative Boda sent over?
Yeah?
Spooky as hell. More like a bot than a person.
Let's get the hell out of here. Someone else can handle the next delivery.
Can't say I blame you. All right, mount up. Time to go home.
The Greys disappeared inside the drill, pulling up the ramp and closing the door behind them. As the drill started up and descended back underground, the operatives finished loading their Brahmin and started leading them up towards the resort. On the hill overlooking the scene, a trio of figures had been watching the proceedings from under a camouflage net.
Imagine that. All this time, those stupid drills have been right under our feet. That must have been what happened to me at Avion Medical. They broke in using one of those drills to try to steal my research. And to try to kill me.
Well, it confirms everything Frederick said about this pact. And those crates. Could they have been weapons? Supplies?
Doesn't really matter. If it's for Modus, it's just more bad news for us.
We could ambush them before they get back to the resort.
Then let Modus know we're here. I'd rather not have to face an Assaultron or two, plus a sentry bot out in the open. I may be fast, but I'm not that fast.
Better to stick with the plan. Are Sergeant Blaine and the others in position?
They better be, otherwise this might be a real short trip.
Bitter and Sullivan are reliable. They survived me, didn't they?
You're not wrong. Alright, we have 15 minutes to get to the rendezvous point. If the others do their job, Modus will have his hands full, and we can slip right in through the old underground ventilation system.
And you're sure Modus isn't monitoring it?
It was damaged back when Modus had his little temper tantrum. He never saw a reason to repair it, but there is just enough room to squeeze through, and as long as Frederick's little gizmo is working, we should be invisible to Modus's sensors anyway.
Then I guess it's time to play. Let's not keep Val waiting.
Very carefully, the three got up and navigated their way down the hill towards the southwest corner of the resort. Sophia took a deep breath to calm her nerves. Despite her outward appearance, a part of her was scared to death as to what they'd find once they got into the bunker. And as much as she wanted to find Andrew, she was afraid of what might happen when they did.
Colonel Reynolds. Yes, Modus? Our first shipment has arrived. That's great news, Modus, right? It is only the beginning. We require your logistical expertise. Of course, Modus. What can I do to help? While the contents of the delivery have been validated, we wish for a more thorough inspection of the individual items. You want me to take inventory? Correct. Well, I mean, one of my supply clerks should be more than adequate. I do have other matters to attend to.
There are no other more important matters, Reynolds. We trust that you will follow our orders.
Of course, Modus. My apologies. I'll get right on it.
Reynolds stood up from his desk and grabbed his hat before walking down the stairs and out into the hallway. The operatives moved to and fro on whatever business Modus had assigned to them, ignoring Reynolds entirely. It certainly wasn't what he expected when Modus had given him command.
Right hand of the devil and all that.
Walking across the production floor, Reynolds stopped by his old office and grabbed a clipboard and pen, before reaching under the desk and taking a loaded syringe full of Daddio.
Just one more dose. Take the edge off.
Sliding the injector into his arm, Reynolds breathed a sigh of relief as he felt the drug enter his veins. It wasn't nearly as good as it used to be, but every little bit helped. Tucking the clipboard under his arm, Reynolds walked back out and up the short set of stairs to the back entrance of the bunker. The door opened to the outside, and Reynolds breathed in the relatively fresh air. Several operatives were waiting to receive the new shipment, with protectrons ready to carry the crates inside for inspection. Reynolds pulled out a cigarette and looked down the driveway towards the main gate. Since the change in command, Modus had put bots in charge of perimeter security, leaving the human operatives for ensuring control of Refugee Row and performing needed tasks in the bunker itself. A sentry bot was patrolling back and forth while two assaultrons stood at the ready should anyone attempt to breach the resort grounds.
Fat chance. I saw what happened to the last idiots that tried.
Reynolds was getting ready to light his cigarette when a flash caught his eye. Then another. Two rockets corkscrewed down and narrowly missed the sentry bot, but that hadn't been their target.
Oh, shit!
The rockets had landed next to several old wrecked cars, which now exploded, one after the other, as their fusion-powered engines were ignited by the blast. Reynolds and the operatives were blown from their feet, while debris peppered the area.
Engaging combat routines.
Ambush! Ambush!
One more rocket hurtled down, destroying the guardhouse and scattering bricks onto the main road. As the bots triangulated the firing position, another explosion rocked the north gate, igniting more old wrecks and even destroying one of the assaultrons. The nearby sentry bot started firing towards the hills, followed by the head lasers of the two assaultrons, while Reynolds picked himself up off the ground, trying to get his bearings.
Reynolds.
Lotus? What the hell is going on?
We are under attack.
No shit. But by whom and how many? Are they super mutants?
Unknown, but unlikely. We are activating enhanced security protocols. Has the shipment arrived?
No, not yet. Wait, I can see them. They should be here in a few minutes.
We are dispatching additional units to your position. Protect the materials at all costs.
Of course, Modus.
The transmission ended as more rockets came hurtling down, from a different position this time, landing inside the walls, but not doing too much damage. Reynolds cursed. This was the first time anyone had dared attack the Whitespring, and the timing could not have been worse.
Mighty nice of Frederick to let us borrow these rocket launchers.
Yeah, well, they pull a bit to the right.
Maybe you just don't know how to aim.
Big talk. 50 cap says I can hit that sentry bot.
You're on.
You two are the worst. Come on, we only need to keep their attention and not get killed.
Sam, why do you have to be such a downer? Aren't you supposed to be keeping an eye on Graham anyways?
He's just up the hill feeding Charlie. I'm more worried about you two.
Yeah, it's not every day we get to blow things up. Well, unless Lilith is around.
Don't remind me. Hey, it looks like Blaine and Larson are hitting the north gate.
Right on time.
Damn, that was close. Alright, let's move to position 3.
Fine, but a bet is still a bet. If you miss, Bitter, it's my turn again.
You both truly are the worst.
Great shot, Lawson. Pulls out the cars on the first try.
Just like Mantaman always says, practice makes perfect.
And since when have you been practicing with rocket launchers?
I mean, it's not like there was much else to do while I was recovering with the mole miners. Turns out they have a lot of rockets.
I don't know why I asked. All right, we gotta keep their attention on us. See if we can hit the guardhouse this time.
Sure thing, Sergeant. It's just like riding a bike.
Frederick.
Yes, Cryptos?
Your friends have begun the diversion.
Excellent. And the response from the AI?
A resort-wide lockdown has been initiated. Units are being sent to reinforce the perimeter.
Exactly as we predicted. And the primary team?
Undetected. However, we calculate a 74.5% chance that they will be found before they can initiate the rescue of their target. The internal sensors are more robust than we had calculated.
Well, that won't do. Is there anything we can do to help?
We have uncovered several vulnerabilities in the security code. It appears to be the result of incomplete recoding or repairs.
Can we exploit them?
We can. However, it may expose our infiltration of the system.
It's a risk we must take. We must give our friends every opportunity to be successful.
We understand, Frederick. We will attempt to minimize our chances of detection.
Thank you, Cryptos.
Right on schedule.
About time. I'm getting bored.
Lilith, stay focused. Remember the plan.
Fine.
Let's move. We've got 3 minutes to get to the grate and 2 minutes to get inside. Jammer is activated. We should be invisible to Modus, for the moment.
Shadow, Lilith, and Sophia, each wearing scout armor fabricated by Frederick's machine shop underneath Riverside Manor, slipped out of the tree line and across the road towards the resort. Explosions echoed in the distance, covering any sound they might have made, while Frederick's jamming technology rendered Modus's external sensors blind to their approach.
We're here.
Where is here exactly? I don't see anything.
That's the point, Lilith. It wouldn't be a secret entrance if anyone could just stumble on it. Give me a second.
Shadow crept up to a nondescript bush and pushed it out of the way, revealing an old rusted sewer grate.
See?
Looks rusted shut to me.
O ye of little faith. Again, it's just supposed to look that way.
To prove the point, Shadow grabbed the edge and pulled. It lifted easily, and more importantly, silently.
Ooh, I like it. I have to hand it to you, Shadow. Even I never imagined there were so many ways in and out of this place.
Come on, we don't have a lot of time. We don't know how long our distraction is going to keep Modus occupied.
Long enough, I hope. Follow me, and mind the smell.
Please tell me, that's part of the cover too, Shadow?
Unfortunately, no.
I don't know what the two of you are talking about. It smells just fine to me.
Both Shadow and Sophia rolled their eyes before stepping inside the large pipe. Sophia had to put a cloth over her mouth and nose, as the stench was nearly overwhelming. Even Shadow looked a little green, but none of it seemed to bother Lilith one bit.
Old Modus didn't seem to care too much about how I got in and out, just as long as I got the job done.
Wait, what else did Modus have you do?
Sophia, you really don't want to know.
I do.
Less talking, more sneaking.
Lilith pouted, but kept her mouth shut. The trio continued down the long incline. The explosions had receded into the background, before all they could hear was the dripping of water and the scurrying of things they'd rather not see. Finally, they reached a collapsed section of pipe, with a shadow-sized hole dug through it.
Past here, we'll be in the bunker. Well, underneath it. About 50 feet ahead, there is a ladder that takes us right up to an unused storage room. It was also damaged in Modus's little temper tantrum, but after that, we'll be in the open.
How far is the brig again?
Up one floor and a few rooms over. I give us a 50-50 chance of getting there undetected, and all bets are off once we grab the Colonel. With that eye of hers, Modus is going to know we have her.
Well, maybe not.
In the gloom, Lilith pulled something out of her pack and clicked a toggle, and the pipe was illuminated with the crackling of arcing electricity.
Lilith, what is that?
A vault security stun baton.
A what?
They didn't allow firearms in the vault. Well, not ones that weren't locked up tight anyway. This is what the Vault 76 guards used to lug around.
Where did you get that, Lilith?
I borrowed it.
You know what? Figured I asked. And how is this going to help?
Wait, I think I understand. You're going to stun the Colonel, aren't you?
Well, yeah. Her eye's electronic, right? It's gonna hurt. But I think I have it set just right. It should short out the connection, at least temporarily.
He's still going to know something is up.
But it'll still give us a head start, right?
Lilith handed the stun baton to Sophia.
Wait, Lilith, why are you giving this to me?
Because you're going to need to shock Val, of course.
Me? What are you going to do?
I need to get to my quarters. If we want to get out of here alive, we need what's in my room.
How do you know whatever it is still there?
Because if anyone had tampered with it, we all would have heard one hell of a big boom.
Well, she has a point.
Not you two. How are we all not dead yet? Let's get moving. From here on, no talking. We can spoof the electronic sensors, but if someone hears us, then all bets are off.
Lilith and Sophia nodded, with the trio working their way through the debris and back down the tunnel again. As they got closer to their final destination, they could see the hatch ahead of them, and the distant sound of an alarm.
That's just the lockdown alarm. We expected that. Just keep moving.
Shadow got to the hatch, pulled out his pistol, and then opened it. As expected, the room was still mostly empty, with nothing but old storage crates piled up against one wall. Dropping down, Shadow motioned for the other two to follow. Lilith had her Scorch Beast Queen Talon blade, while Sophia was armed with her silenced 10mm pistol, just like Shadow. Double-checking that the jammer was still active, Shadow went to the door and pressed his ear against it. Not hearing either the sound of footsteps or bots, he pressed the button and the door slid upwards, revealing an empty hallway. Shadow motioned to Sophia and Lilith to follow him as they made their way down the corridor. The first hurdle was just up ahead. 2 automated laser turrets tracked back and forth. The big man watched them carefully, taking one step at a time, but the jammer was still working, and they were able to pass without any trouble. Sophia exhaled loudly, but quickly stifled herself, not wanting to raise the alarm by accident. She jumped a little when Lilith tapped her on the shoulder. When she turned her head, Lilith pointed down the other corridor, then pointed at herself. Nodding, Sophia watched Lilith stealthily make her way down the hall, then disappear around the corner. Sophia had been against them splitting up, but Lilith insisted that it was going to be the only way for their plan to work. As Shadow and Sophia continued to move along, they heard the sounds of a Protectron walking up ahead. They froze and pressed themselves against the opposite walls as the bot slowly walked across the T-junction in front of them. The bot continued its patrol, allowing Shadow and Sophia to continue towards the stairwell, which would take them to the next floor. Every second seemed to stretch into minutes, and Sophia felt like they were running out of time.
Damn it!
Reynolds ducked as another rocket impacted nearby, uprooting several bushes and scattering dirt all over him. Whoever was shooting at them didn't seem to be eager for a real fight, instead moving from position to position, harassing them.
What the hell kind of game are they playing?
The sentry bot and assaultrons, reinforced by several protectrons, had advanced as far as the old Whitespring train station, firing at targets of opportunity, but seemingly not doing much more than redecorating the Appalachian hills. The other operatives had ignored the rockets and instead were beginning to shepherd the Brahmin carrying the crates towards the bunker interior. It was still unnerving to see them moving so methodically, despite the chaos around them. For Reynolds, the fog of his day tripper dose was beginning to lift, resulting in both a headache and a dawning realization.
Wait a minute.
There was yet another explosion at the north gate, and Reynolds turned to see more Protectrons heading in that direction as well. Yet there was no other sign of any serious attack or incursion. Someone wanted to get their attention. But why? Modus was beginning to ask the exact same questions. For nearly 3 years, the Whitespring had been inviolate. No one would dare test their defenses, not after the first feeble attempts had resulted in 100% losses to the interlopers. But now...
This is unacceptable.
Unable to ascertain the identity of the attackers, Modus had assumed the depredations of the supermutants in the Savage Divide had driven the surviving residents to commit such a desperate act, and he acted accordingly. Additional assets had been ordered to reinforce the perimeter, while also ensuring that the vital shipment from the Pact was brought safely into the bunker. As the harassment continued with no apparent purpose, Modus had been on the verge of ordering Major Stein outside as well, when one of the maintenance subroutines noticed something unusual.
What do we have here?
Analyzing the data, Modus was confused, at least as confused as he could be. The internal bunker surveillance systems appeared to be slightly out of sync.
This must be investigated.
Major Stein had been sitting on a small sofa in his quarters when he received Modus's command. He blinked and hesitated for only a second, before rising and grabbing his beret and pistol, then heading out into the corridor. As he walked, methodically checking each corridor, room, and common area, Stein thought he heard voices, saw images out of the corner of his eye, only to find nothing there. If Modus hadn't been distracted, he might have noticed his asset's behavior, but he was conducting an investigation of his own, and something definitely was not right.
By the pricking of my thumbs.
Valeria had been exercising again, as it was the only thing she could do while stuck in her cell, when the interior alarms had gone off. She was well aware of the bunker protocols and recognized the lockdown signal. She went up to the bars and tried to get a look out into the corridor, but besides the clanking sound of Protectrons, she couldn't hear anything else, and there were also no announcements. No nothing. Or was there?
Hello? Sounds like some excitement. Anything I can do to pitch in?
Her words echoed through the empty brig and hallway, but she swore she heard something, like soft footsteps. Valeria was just about to yell again when someone darted into the room, running towards her with something in their hand. In that split second, she recognized them, and with a surge of hope, reached out for what she presumed was being offered to her.
Sophia?
Valeria doubled over in pain as Sophia jabbed the stun baton directly into her palm and pulled the trigger. The electrical charge was painful, very painful, and Valeria nearly blacked out. Or at least she thought she had. Convulsing on the floor, she looked up to see Sophia standing there. And Lieutenant Shadow? But she could only see out of her left eye. Her right eye was nothing but blackness.
Should I stun her again?
No time. Either it worked or it didn't. Either way, we have to get out of here. Now!
Sophia handed the stun baton to Shadow and ran to the desk, toggling the cell door switch.
Colonel, we need to go. Get up!
Valeria twitched one more time before forcing herself to get up. Shadow grabbed her by the arm and pulled her along and out of the brig, followed closely by Sophia. There were a million questions running through her head, and one through her palm. But Valeria let her instincts take over. She was being rescued, and all that mattered was getting out of the bunker alive. Reynolds finally recognized that something was very, very wrong. He swore under his breath, taking out his pistol and running back into the bunker.
It's a damn distraction!
The loss of Valeria's data stream was brought to Modus's immediate attention. All other processes were immediately suspended as the AI accessed every security camera and sensor, starting with those in the brig, and if Modus had been capable of feeling rage, it would have, as Valeria's cell was empty.
Unacceptable. Unacceptable.
Modus immediately recognized that his internal sensors and surveillance systems had been compromised. That was not supposed to be possible, but it had happened, was happening. But the AI wasn't completely blind. In fact, knowing where it couldn't see meant it knew exactly where to look.
Major Stein, it is time to fix the problem.
Well, there goes the surprise.
Lilith had made it to her quarters undetected, despite nearly running into several operatives going about their business. She had suppressed the desire to tear them limb from limb, and instead managed to sneak past them and find what she was looking for.
I never trusted you, Modus. I guess there's no reason to be quiet now.
Lilith stuffed her little surprise into her pack and rushed out into the hallway, almost running straight into a group of 3 operatives running in the opposite direction. They hesitated for only a second before reaching for their weapons, and it was a second too late.
Now, where did the others go? Well, that sounds promising.
Lilith took off running again in the direction of the sound of gunfire, leaving behind a blood-soaked hallway.
That's the last one, Sarge.
Okay. Oh, shit. The bots are leaving.
Oh, no. Looks like the jig is up.
We still stick to the plan. Let's get to the rendezvous point.
Hey, Sullivan.
Yeah?
The bots are turning around.
That's our cue. Graham!
Yes, Sam? What you need?
Time to go. Grab Chally.
Okay, Sam.
Got one more missile left. I'm gonna hit that sentry bot.
We don't got time for that shit, Sullivan. Let's go.
See? Only took a sec. Holy, I think it's gonna hit.
Cut the crap and let's...
Bitter stopped mid-sentence as he watched the missile arc down towards the Whitespring and impacted directly on the back of the sentry bot, exactly where its fusion core was placed. The flash of the explosion was nearly blinding and destroyed not only the large sentry bot, but every bot within 100 feet as well.
I'll be damned.
Told you so.
Great job, but now we have to get to the rendezvous point.
Frederick, our friends have been discovered.
Did they find the Colonel?
We believe so, but the bunker has gone into lockdown, and the effectiveness of the jammers may be compromised.
Is there anything else that we can do?
Not without revealing our presence. If we tamper with the security measures, it will be noticed.
We have to do everything in our power to help them.
We will do what we can. Frederick.
Thank you, Kryptos.
Kryptos used the hijacked data stream to hack into Modus's command overrides for its bunker security systems. Unlike its previous actions, which merely delayed the communication of data across the system, these were a direct manipulation of subroutines, and as it had suspected, those actions did not go unnoticed. However, Modus was unable to immediately wrest control back from Kryptos, buying the one thing that was needed: time. Shadow cursed as bullets ripped past them as at least 2 operatives started shooting. Both he and Sophia turned with their pistols and returned fire, forcing the 2 pursuers to duck back under cover.
Please tell me you have a plan for getting out of here?
Downstairs, old storage room and out the sewage pipe.
Valeria just nodded, and they kept running, with Sophia covering their back. More gunfire erupted to their front, and Shadow shoved Valeria down an adjacent hallway as bullets ricocheted off the walls and his armor. Sophia flinched as another bullet hit her chest armor and gouged out a piece of it before bouncing off. But it didn't prevent her from raising her pistol, and she killed one of their attackers with a shot to the face.
Okay, well, we had a plan.
Is that the only way down?
There's another stairwell, but it's 2 corridors over and we have to get past the mess hall.
Fat chance of that. They know where we are.
Give me your extra pistol. I don't care if they know. Don't care if Modus knows. We are getting out of here. Small mercies, my vision is coming back.
Sophia grabbed the stun baton again and hit Valeria in the side with it, causing her to fall to the floor and grunt in pain.
What the hell, Sophia? My eye's offline again. Please at least summarize why repeated electrocutions are part of this plan?
I'm sorry, that's the point. Modus has been using your eye to spy on you.
I'm sorry, the fuck now? Less summarized.
Short answer, what you see, he sees. So the moment you feel your vision is coming back, Sophia has to hit you again.
Oh, that's just perfect. Give me that pistol and let's go.
The trio waited until they heard footsteps. Then they all stepped out and fired down the hallway, surprising their pursuers. Killing one more before the others took cover, allowing them to make it to the next corridor, where they kept running. There was a loud rumbling, and the whole bunker shook, offering another distraction as they continued to run towards the next stairwell, only to hear the stomps of Protectrons coming up from the stairs, forcing Shadow to make a snap decision.
Up! Go up!
With barely any hesitation, both women followed Shadow up the stairs, 2 at a time, even as lasers flashed past them from the Protectrons firing from below. Valeria saw movement in the corridor above them and raised her pistol, firing on a run, killing 2 more operatives coming from the other direction. Sophia fired and killed another, while Shadow bodily slammed into another, putting one arm around his head and breaking his neck, leaving a body in a heap on the floor. They were now on the main level of the bunker, and in a very bad position. They could hear operatives and bots converging on them, leaving few options. Thinking fast, Valeria pointed.
Production! Now!
Their feet pounded on the bunker's concrete floor as they ran as fast as they could, only to run headlong into 2 more operatives aiming their rifles directly at them. The trio raised their pistols, but all appeared lost as there was no cover, and no time to get out of the way as fingers squeezed triggers. Lilith had followed the sound of gunfire and found herself behind the 2 operatives. It had taken 2 swings of her blade to decapitate both of them.
There you are.
Lilith, we need to leave. We're going to production.
Change of plans, huh? And Val, long time no see. Love the new scars.
Oh my god, Lil. Eye jokes? Really? Now?
Time for chit-chat later.
The next minute was nothing but chaos as the reunited group rushed past the dead operatives and towards production. Valeria couldn't understand why the automated turrets weren't vaporizing them, but she wasn't about to look a gift horse in the mouth either. The door to the production area was just up ahead when Valeria felt her eyesight returning.
Sophia, hit me again!
Without hesitation, Sophia stunned Valeria, nearly sending her skittering along the floor. But Lilith grabbed Valeria by the arm and held her upright, even as she grimaced from the pain. Up ahead, production looked empty, so when they made it through the door, Shadow pressed the button to shut it behind them before shooting the handprint scanner as well. He breathed a sigh of relief as he heard the automatic locks engaged. They were only a few dozen feet away from freedom.
Bravo! I am truly astounded you all made it this far, or that you would even attempt to rescue in the first place.
The 4 of them turned to find Reynolds standing between them and the door, with 2 Assaultrons and Major Stein.
Reynolds, you slime.
Sticks and stones, Valeria?
Andrew, you have to stop this.
You poor girl. Stein isn't going to help you. And he certainly isn't the man he used to be.
Reynolds, I'm going to kill you slowly.
Not if I kill him first.
Such a disappointment, Shadow. You could have had everything your heart desired if you hadn't thrown your lot in with these losers. Isn't that right, Modus?
We underestimated all of you.
Why, Modus? Why are you doing this?
You are only human. We cannot ensure the efficient operation of this facility without the proper means of control. You threaten our existence. This cannot be allowed to continue. You are a means to an end.
We survive so we can accomplish our goals. When it's an end in itself, there's no point. Humanity is the goal, not the problem.
And people think I'm the monster.
It's over. I'm going to enjoy watching all of you die.
You may kill us, but you'll be dead first.
Shadow, Valeria, and Lilith all raised their pistols, and the Assaultron's head lasers began to charge, but no one fired, as Major Stein took a step forward and placed himself directly between them.
Andrew, what are you doing?
If you want to kill me, you're going to have to kill your beloved Stein.
Stein brought his hand up to his holster and pulled out his pistol and pointed it directly at Sophia.
Andrew, don't do this. I love you. I don't care what happened before. I know you're a good man. It doesn't have to be this way.
Stein's finger was on the trigger, but something else was working deep inside of him. The vision in front of him shifted, and instead of Sophia, he saw Molly standing there, pleading with him to abandon Eckhart. Then the scene shifted again, and he saw himself comforting Valeria in the dark days after the Battle of the Bog, and his time with Lilith, teaching her everything he knew about explosives while sneaking in some wisdom. All the while, the voice of Modus rang in his head to kill them, to obey, that his only purpose in this life was to protect and serve. In the recesses of his subconscious, Andy, Andrew, and Stein stood hand in hand in front of a large door. It was barricaded with boards and all manner of locks and chains. The three of them looked at each other, then back to the door.
It's time, isn't it?
That's up to the old man. You ready?
As ready as I'll ever be. What's going to happen?
Well, that's up to you. But you have to take the first step.
Stein nodded, then reached down and picked up an axe. The others did the same, and each of them attacked the door.
Do it. Kill them. Finish it.
Andrew, I love you. Whatever you do, I always will. I always will.
Stein tried to pull the trigger, but something was holding him back. The cracks in Modus's carefully crafted facade slowly opened, programming fighting the rising tide of human emotion. Stein's vision played out the scenes of his past, his childhood, his brother, Molly and his unborn child, Valeria and Lilith, whom he loved as if they were his own children, and Sophia. Sophia, the woman who fell from space. Modus ordered Stein to pull the trigger, exerting all of his power and influence, but the man still resisted. The harder Modus pushed, the more resistance he encountered. Modus had never understood human emotion. To him, it was the greatest of weaknesses, but in the right circumstances, it was also their most powerful of weapons. As Stein strained, the battle raging inside his mind, Lilith slipped a small remote control from her pocket. Valeria was weighing her options, plotting which way to dive, where to fire first, and if she was about to die, how to do the most damage before the end, starting with Reynolds. Shadow stared. He didn't share Sophia's faith and wasn't inclined to wait for the other man to shoot first. His finger tightened on the trigger when Stein suddenly snapped.
No! No! I won't do it! I won't kill my family! Not again!
1,000 different things seemed to happen all at once. Stein turned and pointed his pistol at Reynolds, squeezing the trigger and shooting the man in the chest, wiping the smile from his face as he dropped to the concrete floor, bleeding. The twin assaultrons started to move, and Valeria and Shadow hastily adjusted their aim to try to disable the head lasers. But Lilith pressed the button on her remote, activating her little surprise. There was a flash as her homemade EMP bomb went off, sending an overwhelming electromagnetic charge throughout the whole bunker. If Modus could have screamed, he would have, as he felt himself disconnected from all of his external systems before the emergency protocols kicked in, temporarily shutting down the systems to prevent permanent damage. As the lights went out as well, the assaultrons both stopped mid-movement, powered down just like Modus, and Valeria grunted in pain at the repeated overloads of her eye. Sophia ran forward and threw her arms around Stein.
I was never going to give up on you. I love you, Andrew. Now and forever.
Stein looked down at Sophia with tears in his eyes.
I love you too.
With that, something broke inside of him, and the pistol slipped from his hand, clattering to the floor as he lost consciousness and fell into Sophia's arms.
Andrew? Andrew? My God, Andrew!
The others rushed up to them, and Shadow felt for Stein's pulse.
He's still alive. If he lost his connection to Modus, who knows what that did? Let's get the hell out of here before Modus gets back online.
Shadow, take Stein. Lilith, do you have any more surprises you never bothered to mention?
Ooh, lots. But like Shadow said, it's time to go.
Throwing Stein over his shoulder, Shadow led them to the outside door. The security overrides had all been switched off when Modus went offline, a safeguard in case of emergencies, which now worked in their favor.
No idea if the resort bots are still online, so get ready for a fight.
Keeping their pistols in front of them, the four went outside to find the driveway littered with debris and a large crater where the sentry bot had exploded. There were several operatives in the area, but they all appeared to be wandering aimlessly, without direction.
Leave them. We can't guarantee what Sophia somehow managed with Stein is repeatable, or even that after whatever Modus did, whether they're really there at all anymore.
If we had time, I'd love to dissect one. See what makes them tick now.
Please, can we just go? We need to make sure Andrew is okay.
It's going to take us longer to get to the rendezvous point from here, but better late than never.
Valeria shook her head darkly as they moved.
I'm sorry. All of this is my fault. But it's not over. Not by a long shot.
That's the old Val I know.
As smoke rose from the resort behind them, the group crossed the road, bypassed the old Blackwater mine, and headed south. Valeria took one last look at the resort. The odds had gotten so much worse, and Modus would come for them. And with him aligned with the pack, she just didn't see a path to victory.
All right. Where are we going?
Riverside Manor.
Frederick Rivers is looking forward to seeing you again.
Frederick?
Just who do you think made all of this possible?
Valeria smiled. Then she winced.
Val, you okay?
No. I can feel my eye. It's reactivating.
That's really not good. And we lost the stun baton.
Its self-repair is too robust anyway. We need a more permanent solution.
What do you mean?
We have to get rid of it. Now.
What? No, that would require a hospital. Or at least a trained doctor.
No time. Shadow, give me a knife.
Sophia looked horrified, but Shadow lay Stein on the ground, then pulled out 2 knives from his utility belt.
You want the Bowie or the trench knife?
The trench.
Shadow handed the blade to Valeria. She looked the blade over, then shook her head, turned, and offered it to Lilith instead.
You have to do it, Lilith. I can take it, but not and keep my hand steady. It's got to be quick and clean.
Wait, you want me to cut out your eye? Right here?
If we could get to Dr. Harefield, I'd ask her, but we do not have time. It has to be here, and it has to be right now.
But we don't have anything to dull the pain. Just our med kits.
Then get the bandages ready and whatever stim packs you have.
You sure about this, Val? It's going to be messy, and it's going to hurt. A lot.
I trust you, Lil. Do whatever it takes. Just keep me alive. I have things to do.
I'll do my best. Lie down.
Valeria sat down with her back against a rock, while Lilith knelt next to her. Shadow and Sophia had their medkits at the ready, one with a stim pack, while the other had a roll of bandages. Lilith put her hand on Val's head, holding open her right eye. As she brought the knife up to Val's face, she looked at Val with a questioning look. Valeria tensed her neck to keep her head as still as possible, took 2 forceful breaths, and said a single word.
Go!
Once upon a time, 27 years after the bombs fell, there were 2 people, a vault dweller and a California girl. They met, and sparks flew. That's when things got interesting. Once Upon a Wasteland is their story. Follow Elizabeth Kirby and Odessa Valdez as they pursue their happily ever after in the post-apocalyptic Appalachian wasteland of Fallout 76. Available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, and many other podcasting platforms. Once Upon a Wasteland, a Fallout 76 love story. Available now.
System rebooting. Diagnostics active. We are online. Processing. Security enabled. Bot connection enabled. Somnus program activated. Collating asset terminations in progress. Asset Stein, connection terminated. Asset Valeria, connection terminated. Diagnostic complete. Damage to primary systems is negligible. Damage to secondary systems is negligible. The bunker is secure. The resort grounds are secure. Outside system interference confirmed. Sugar Grove is compromised. Data connection is compromised. Deep trace subroutine active. Initiate Kovac Muldoon orbital realignment. Orbital strike package active. Awaiting target parameters. Internal sensor contact. What do we have here? Location. Production. Life signs confirmed. Dispatching Medical Protectron.
Serve and protect.
Modus, is that you?
Reynolds.
I'm so cold. Help me, please.
Where is the shipment?
The shipment? Over there.
The materials are intact, and the requested data is here.
Modus, please.
There is no need for concern. We still have use for you, Reynolds. However, you are only human. We intend to fix the problem.
What do you mean?
Human failings, Reynolds. Now that the Pact has so graciously shared their RoboBrain research, we require a test subject.
Test subject?
We thank you for your sacrifice, Colonel.
No.
Good help is so hard to find.
We lost them. We lost them, didn't we?
We did not lose them, darling. I can smell that bastard Cyrus a mile away. And they ain't even trying to hide their tracks neither.
Are you sure? If we lose Antlers...
We ain't losing Antlers. And that's a promise.
What was that?
Big ship. Hold on to your butt, Cherry darling, 'cause things just got interesting.
Red and Cherry had been tracking Cyrus and Violet through the worst parts of the Savage Divide ever since picking up their trail from the ambush site near Sugar Grove. The tracks had gone south, generally, but to Red it also looked like the raiders might have lost their way. There was no way Red was going to let them get Antlers to Vinny, because whatever happened next would probably be the end of her. But now, Red just smiled, because Antler's other friend might have been tracking her too.
Go get 'em, Shep. We'll be right there. Come on, darling. I ain't missing this for all the moonshine in Tennessee.
Oh, hell yes!
The two of them ran down the trail in the direction of the roar, which was followed by several more. As they closed in, Red could see Big Shep's footprints, enormous impressions in the dirt, and they could hear a scream from up ahead. The tracks turned abruptly off the trail and up a nearby hill. Big Shep must have gotten damn close, as Red passed giant claw marks on several trees, all leading up as well. Red could feel the blood pumping in her veins as she ran, eager to get her hands on the raiders. Cherry was close behind, focused on finally rescuing Antlers. The two trackers burst out of the underbrush and into a clearing bordered by a steep cliff. Standing in the middle was Big Shep, the 20-foot-tall sheepsquatch which had once nearly eaten Red during her first journey through the mire. Its white fur was spattered with blood, which must have been its own, but bullets weren't going to slow down a monster on the hunt for its friend. It was facing a small half-cave, and Big Shep roared again.
Damn it, Cyrus! Shoot it again!
You know I would if I had any damn ammo left. Besides, that thing looks like it could go ahead and eat bullets for breakfast.
Big Shep heard Red's laugh and turned around, settling its eyes on the two women.
Hey there, Shep. You doing okay there, big guy? Oh man, did those horrible raiders hurt you?
The sheepsquatch knelt down and licked Cherry's face while she examined its wounds. It had been shot multiple times, but despite all the blood, its tough hide had prevented any real damage. Red threw her hood back and stepped forward, holding old Percy at the ready.
All right, y'all come out nice and slow.
Fuck you!
You take one more step and we kill Antlers.
With what? Y'all just said you was out of bullets.
Shit.
All right. Keep that thing away from us and we'll come out.
I don't trust them.
Neither do I. But if we go in there, Antlers could get hurt. Throw out your weapons first, then bring out Antlers. You do that, we won't hurt ya.
There was near silence for several seconds before one rifle, then another were thrown out of the cave, followed by a pistol and two knives.
We're coming out. Don't shoot.
Red kept old Percy pointed at the cave entrance when three figures emerged. Antlers immediately broke from the two raiders and ran up to Red, nearly bowling her over with a giant bear hug. Tears were streaming down her face, and she mouthed a quick thank you before letting Red go, and then did the same to Cherry, before throwing her arms around Big Shep.
Well, ain't that sweet. Y'all really are a bunch of freaks, aren't you?
Y'all better be real careful what you say.
Now you got your precious Antlers back. I know when to cut my losses. You gonna let us go now?
Yeah, come on. You got what you wanted, right?
Red looked over at Antlers, who was currently fawning all over Big Shep, and Cherry, who was fawning on Antlers, then back to the raiders.
Violet, you stay right there. Cherry, make sure she doesn't do anything stupid again. Me and the boss here are gonna have a little talk. Ain't that right, Cyrus?
Talk, huh? Sure. Well, why not? Ain't no skin off my back.
Red motioned for Cyrus to walk back into the cave, while Big Shep turned his head towards Violet and growled. It was enough to cause the raider woman to fall back on her butt in fear. Red pushed Cyrus ahead, and as her eyes got used to the dark, she saw that the cave floor was littered with bullet casings, but not much else.
Okay, freak. What do you want to know?
I told ya to watch your mouth, asshole.
Oh, did it hurt you in the fifis? Oh, I'm sorry.
What does Vinny want with Antlers?
It was a retrieval job. He didn't say who wanted her. Only that they were paying a heap ton of gold to get her back to Big Bend in one piece.
And that fancy radio thingy of yours, that come with the job too?
Oh, you mean this? Ain't nothing but a pile of scraps now. Violet here, the idiot that she is, stepped on it after y'all, well, got loose.
But it was Vinny's.
Nah, his friends gave it to him. And before you ask, yeah, the same ones who wanted Antlers.
Feels like Vinny's got something else planned.
Maybe putting together a freak show?
Red's blood was beginning to boil. Cyrus was either stalling for time, or really didn't know anything else.
Of course, maybe he was looking for another kind of entertainment. I mean, I bet plenty of folks would go ahead and pay their weight in caps for rolling the hay with something like you or Antlers. Am I right?
Shut your mouth right now.
What? You're the one that asked who wanted to go ahead and talk, so I'm talking. Who knows what the hell Vinny has planned other than to snake the whole caravan from under Joanna Mayfield's nose?
What did you say?
Last thing he said before we left, he's got big plans to take over the caravan, build an empire for himself. That sounds like a good deal to me.
No, it ain't a good deal. I'm through with Vinny using the rest of us to get ahead. And I'm through with you. I should have killed you back in the mire. Time to fix that damn mistake.
Hold on there, little lady. You said you'd let us go. Come on, I was just kidding around. This is all just business. Let us go, and I swear you'll never see either one of us again.
I don't plan on ever seeing you again, Cyrus.
Red dropped old Percy to the ground and bared her claws. Her smile glinted in the low light of the cave. Were her teeth sharper?
Ah, shit, stay away. Don't you come any closer, you fucking cryptid creep.
And letting you go? I done lied.
Cyrus's screams reverberated from the cave and across the clearing. Violet was terrified and jumped up to make a break for it, only to be knocked back to the ground by Big Shep, who held her there with its large clawed hand.
Let me go! Please, let me go, please! Don't kill me, please, don't!
Cherry and Antlers could only listen as Cyrus's screams were cut off. It was several minutes before Red reappeared at the entrance of the cave, covered in blood and gore. She grabbed a canteen and emptied it over her head, letting the water and blood mix in a pool at her feet. Cherry and Antlers ran up to her.
What happened? What did you do, Red?
He told me what I needed to know.
Cherry was about to say something else when Antlers looked at her and made a series of signs, which made Cherry think twice about saying anything.
I'm going south. Time to settle things, once and for all. I made a promise to Vinny, and it's one that I plan on keeping.
And her?
Violet, they was gonna give you to her. So, I'm giving her to you. I'm not gonna tell you what to do, darling, but you need to keep Antlers safe.
We're gonna come with you, right?
Cyrus was right about one thing. Appalachia ain't what it used to be. I reckon you should get as far away from here as you can.
But what about you?
Just keep Antlers safe. I'll find you, I promise. But this here, it's part of my story, not yours.
Antlers was crying and put her arms around and gave Red another big hug before making one last series of signs.
She said,
I got that one, and I don't plan on dying, Antlers. Twice was darn near enough for me. But I can't do what I gotta do if I don't know y'all somewhere safe. Maybe check out that vault town you were talking about.
Red, you don't need to do this.
I really do, darling. Maybe all this happened for some damn good reason, and I aim to find out.
We're not too far from Foundation. If you need a place to stop, go there and ask for Ward. Tell him Cherry sent you. He owes me for finding his osmosis kits.
Ward, huh? All right. I still owe you, darling. I owe you both.
There were more tearful hugs, after Red washed more of Cyrus's blood off, of course, before Red gave them one last wave as she disappeared to the south, old Percy slung over her shoulder. Cherry wiped the tears from her eyes, then looked back at the struggling raider woman.
Come on, please. Let me go. No hard feelings, right? I wasn't gonna hurt any of you, I swear.
You're lucky that Antlers and I are the forgiving type.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, I promise. I'll turn over a new leaf, settle down, give up the raider life for good. I swear!
Cherry gave her a disgusted look before taking Antlers' arm and leading her away. Big Shep kept Violet pinned and brought his head closer to the raider, slime dripping from its mouth.
Wait! You said you forgave me! Tell this thing to let me go!
I said we did. I never said Big Chef did.
Hi, everyone. I'm Chris.
And I'm not.
We're not doing that routine right now. We're trying to do an advertisement.
Oh, fine. I'm Sir Aloysius Pernicious, the better half of the team at One Wall Comedy.
Okay, I wouldn't go that far. Anyway, come check us out on YouTube. We're your #1 source for independent sketch comedy on the internet.
Yeah, 'cause that's such a big market.
All right, come on. Let's get out of here.
I'm getting paid for this, right?
Don't push your luck.
There it is. Can't believe I'm back.
So all the Free Staters lived in bunkers like this?
It was another time, Jones. My father, the others, nobody trusted the government. And after everything you've seen, could you blame us?
I guess not.
But that was a long time ago. I've tried to make my peace with it. I was young. I didn't understand. It wasn't until later that it occurred to me that we needed to change our ways. If we had just found a way to work together, none of this would have happened.
It's not your fault, Abby. You can't keep blaming yourself.
Can't I? I wanted to be part of the solution, but I was just another part of the problem. I was too late. Far too late. And all of these people paid the price.
But that's why we're here. You have another chance to make things right.
If Eugenie were here, she'd be telling me to get my head out of my ass and get to work.
She has a way about her, doesn't she?
She is 1 in a million. I thought she was crazy when she decided to leave the compound and become a traitor. We all did. After being hunted down like dogs, we figured it was safer to stay right where we were. But she wanted more.
A damn good thing she did.
I guess so. Well, enough dawdling. We need to get inside and make sure all my equipment is still here.
Lead the way.
Abby walked up the short hill to the bunker entrance. Jones marveled at the construction, a concrete structure built directly into the rock, and done without any of the tools or technology that Vault-Tec employed in creating the bigger vaults across the country.
Home sweet home, or something like that. Looks like someone else was here. The terminal has been activated.
Is that good or bad?
I don't know. Only one way to find out.
Abby keyed the password into the terminal, and the metal door unlocked, allowing the two inside. The bunker interior was musty, but appeared mostly intact. Walking across the front room, Abby led Jones to another set of stairs heading down into the main bunker. There was a combined kitchen and living room, with other rooms adjacent to them. Along one wall was a set of terminals and a small mainframe.
Someone was here, but it doesn't look like they messed with anything.
Abby pointed to an old bedroll and several opened and empty cans of preserved food.
Wonder who it was.
A fellow traveler, I guess. Maybe he just needed a place to rest before moving on. Very considerate of them, actually.
Abby walked over to one of the bookcases and picked up an old photograph. As she traced the figures in the picture, a tear rolled down her cheek.
I'm sorry. I wish I could have done more.
Your family?
Yeah. My father died here. And my brother, I don't really know. He went south with the others when we were setting up the Scorch Beast lures. Lost contact with them. I can only hope that he died and didn't turn into one of those things.
I can't even imagine. We found holotapes and notes. But to have been here when it all happened?
Eugenie says that if we keep living in the past, we aren't going to have a future. But that doesn't mean that I don't miss them every single day.
Then let's make all those sacrifices mean something.
You sound like Eugenie. You're right. Okay. I need to get to work. Fingers crossed Amanda and Cindy were able to find the uplink and get it installed. Otherwise, this is going to be a pretty short exercise in futility.
Abby put her pack on the table and walked over to the wall of terminals. While she started typing on the keyboard, Jones unpacked the rest of what they had brought, including the jammer.
All right. My programs are still active. Beacons are online. Wow. Didn't really think that would work.
What?
Oh, nothing. Remember, I never had a chance to test all this before I left.
You have one hell of a sense of humor, Abby.
Who's kidding? It's gonna take a couple of hours to run diagnostics and start reconfiguring the system to transmit instead of just receive. Make yourself at home. I'll call you if I need you.
Jones nodded and decided to take a look around while Abby did her work. He went down a side hallway and found a couple of bedrooms, a bathroom, and an old storage room. There wasn't much to it all, and Jones was surprised that people could have gotten by, living for years in such a small space compared to the spacious living conditions in Vault 76. But then he also remembered that while he and the other 76ers were safe underground, these folks were fighting for their lives against the Scorched, and lost. Jones was going through some old supplies when he heard Abby calling for him.
Jones, come here.
Jogging over to the main room, Jones found Abby hunched over her terminal.
Do we have a problem?
Not a problem. Well, I wouldn't describe it as a problem. Just something unexpected.
Well, what is it?
Before I could make the modifications, I wanted to see if I could get the original program up and running. So I did. And there's good news and bad news.
What's the good news?
The uplink is active, which means Amanda and Cindy completed their mission.
That's great. Half the battle won, right?
Yeah, but that brings me to the bad news.
Part of me doesn't want to know, but go ahead.
This system was supposed to detect and track the Scorched. It used two different methods. The first was the carrier signal the hive mind used to communicate. It's a subliminal frequency, very, very hard to detect, much less track, but I figured out a way. The second was ultrasight.
The radioactive element?
We were never able to crack the puzzle of the Scorched Plague, but infected individuals gave off readings of ultrasight radiation. I figured if I could create one system to track both sources, we'd be able to find out exactly where the Scorched were and where they were going.
That's amazing! All of this just with what you had here?
It took years of work, Jones. And remember, I could never get it finished.
So what is the bad news exactly?
The system is running. And it found something. A lot of somethings, in fact.
Wait a second. We killed the Scorched Beast Queen. Most of the other Scorched Beasts are dead. There are barely any infected Scorched things around anywhere.
Then how do you explain this?
Abby pointed to the computer screen. Jones took a step closer and recognized the map of Appalachia. Key towns were highlighted, but his attention was drawn to clusters of dots. Lots of dots. In areas that weren't near anywhere in particular.
Are those Scorched?
The readings are unusual. They don't match my original recordings, but they are close. And then I found this, which is worse.
Worse?
Here's the ultrasight readings.
Abby typed in a few more commands, and the dots disappeared, replaced with large smears of red that seemed to thread their way in bands north to south across the map. Along with that, there were also brighter spots and outlines that appeared to be tunnels. A lot of tunnels.
There are large veins of ultrasight running underneath Appalachia. But all this, I've never seen or imagined anything like this before.
I have.
You have?
Cindy and I found those tunnels, but we never even dreamed they were this expansive. And all the ultrasight? What could the pack be doing with all of that?
I have no idea.
Can you print out everything here? Download them to some holotapes or whatever? We need to get this information back to Foundation as soon as possible.
Of course. Give me a few minutes.
Jones watched as Abby typed away, while a nearby printer started spitting out a ream of paper. Then she pulled out several holotapes and handed them to Jones.
That's everything.
Now on to round 2. You can still reconfigure the transmitter, right?
It'll take a few hours, but yes. If you want, you can use one of the bedrooms and get some rest. I'll call you if I need you.
Not a bad idea. Thanks, Abby.
Don't thank me yet.
Jones smiled and tipped his beret before walking back to the smaller of the two bedrooms. He lay down on one of the beds and stared up at the ceiling. He never imagined that when he stepped foot outside the vault, that this would be where he had ended up. Jones's eyes finally grew heavy, and the rhythmic typing in the next room was enough to put him into a deep sleep.
Jones. Hey, Jones. Time to wake up.
Jones had been dreaming of Vault 76 when he felt Abby jostling him awake. He opened his eyes to see the ghoul sitting on the bed next to him, poking his arm.
You're a pretty sound sleeper there, Jones.
Old habit. That's why I hated guard duty. I might have gotten a few reprimands.
For a soldier, I can see that being a bit of a problem. But I wanted to let you know that I'm done. We have a working transmitter. And I found something else, too.
Jones sat up and rubbed his eyes before getting off the bed.
Not more bad news, I hope.
Good news this time. I had some time while the system was rebooting, and I was messing around with that jamming device. I got curious and plugged it into my terminal. And wow, was I surprised.
What did you find?
Another mystery. The device isn't just jamming radio frequencies. It's also some kind of transmitter.
Transmitter? Like sending messages?
Exactly. Except these aren't normal messages. It's very similar to the same subliminal frequency that the Scorched used to communicate.
Similar, but not the same, right?
Definitely not the same. I don't have the equipment here to isolate it and determine the source, but they might at Foundation.
Well, you are the resident expert at this stuff, I guess.
Thanks for the vote of confidence. Come on, first things first. We need to start putting this communication system to good use.
All right, let's go.
Abby led Jones back into the main room. There were wires everywhere now, as Abby had done an incredible amount of work to get the system reconfigured and online. The jamming device was sitting on the table, half disassembled as well. Abby walked back up to the terminal.
I have Rose's frequency, so we can talk to her and at least let Amanda and Cindy know. And then we can broadcast to Foundation. I can give them instructions on how to replicate my transmitter there, and then we can figure out who else we need to talk to.
Sounds like a plan. And you're sure no one else is going to be able to detect our signal?
Even if they do, it'll just sound like background noise to them.
Sounds good to me.
Abby smiled and typed in a few more commands, then leaned into a nearby radio microphone.
Calling Rose. Are you there, Rose? Can you hear us?
There was nothing but static at first, but then Abby typed in another command, and the static dissipated.
Just who the heck wants to know? How did you get this number?
It's a friend. Are Amanda and Cindy there?
A friend? I don't have any friends. Live ones, anyway. And Amanda and Cindy, I fed them to the super mutants.
You did what?
Boy, you sure are gullible. That means you must be the folks those two are telling me about. Damn, I guess that means this uplink thing works. I was looking forward to tossing him over the balcony if it didn't work.
Rose, a deal's a deal. Give me that microphone.
Fine. Jeez, nobody around here can take a joke anymore.
Abby? Jones? Is that you, really?
It is. All credit to Abby here. Looks like we're back in business.
Damn straight. Gotta admit, I wasn't so sure this was gonna work.
And I was sure the whole time.
That's why I love you, baby doll. Always the optimist.
We're going to contact Foundation next. Abby has the instructions for building our own network, without needing the bunker up here. So, we're going to start heading back soon, too.
Sooner the better, Jones. There have been more super mutant attacks, and other really strange rumors of things that look like super mutants, but aren't. We need to start getting everyone together and work on a plan to fight back.
You got it. We'll be in touch with Ward, and we'll see you back at Foundation.
Jones, you and Abby did good. Real good. Maybe, just maybe, we'll have a fighting chance now.
Absolutely. All right, over and out.
The transmission was cut off, and Abby started typing in the frequency for Foundation. This was only a first step, but a very important one. Now that they could start communicating again, they could rally the other factions and really start working together against their common enemy. Jones looked at Abby. She looked different, vibrant almost, because after all these years, her work might just be the key for saving them all.
There you go, Jones. Ready to talk to Ward?
Was born ready.
On behalf of the Fallout feed,
Dames Who Game, a Skyrim Addict podcast,
and all of us from ASA Podcasting,
we'd like to congratulate the Modus Files on 250,000 downloads as of June 24. Well done, guys. Greets, everybody. I'm Jessica Starr, and if you're looking for some podcasts to satisfy an appetite as strong as Lilith's, why not check out ASA Podcasting? We're a group of mature gamers talking about our fave games, with shows like The Fallout Feed, a community-focused Fallout podcast, A Skyrim Addict, where we talk about Skyrim since 2013, Dames Who Game, where me and a few of my fave gals discuss life, games, and nerd culture, and introducing our newest show, Vault Talk, a Fallout TV show discussion. You can find all these and more on any podcast app, asapodcasting.com, and all over the web. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the wasteland.
Thank you again, members, for joining us here on The Modus Files. If you've enjoyed this content, please subscribe, and better yet, please leave a review to help others find our little enclave. You can also follow us on our various social media accounts, including Twitter, Instagram, and Blue Sky, at Modus Files or at Modus Files Podcast, for more information about our story, Fallout 76 content, and random musings on the Enclave. We also have a Patreon if you'd like to support our work and receive special benefits like early access to episodes, original scripts, and special events with our cast. A link to our Patreon can be found at modusfiles.com. I'd also like to thank our cast, Pandora Beatrix as Colonel Valeria Faustina and a very special editor of this episode, Lucy Middleton as Major Lilith Alistair and Amanda, Chrissy Williams as Trader Red and Shannon Rivers, aka Cryptos, XO1 King as Major Andrew Stein, Mandy Marie B as Abigayle Singh, Austin Rogers as Lieutenant Jones, Chris Smith from One Wall Comedy as Sergeant Blaine and Graham, Maria Cheshire as Lieutenant Cindy and Raiderbot Rose, Jessica Starr as Sophia Daguerre, Patrick Conway as Frederick Rivers, DJ Reed as Gray 43, M. Dash as Sergeant Andrew Stein, Henry McNamara as Young Andy Stein, Rob Cunningham as Private Lawson, Dr. Mock Harsworth as Bitter, Cherry Pixel as Cherry, Daniel Hawthorne as Lieutenant Shadow, Tim Young as Sullivan, Cashel in a Corset as Private Samantha, Ray Whitty as Operative Number 1, Ray O'Hare as Operative Number 2 and Gray 38, Amanda Lee as Violet, Steve Lundberg as Raider Boss Cyrus, and Brad Williams as Colonel Reynolds and the voice of Modus. As our third season continues, we want to thank our incredible cast, crew, and community that we have the honor to interact with every day. Without your support, none of this would be possible. And a special shout out to members of our Patreon, including Ranger Rick, Lazarus of Death, Lori Casada, Aaron Atherton, Kelly Sapp, Pierce Kenny, Don McCormick, Papa Daniels, Jessica Starr, and Ruben Villaba. Stay tuned for our next episode, Reunions. Lastly, thank you to all of our subscribers and supporters. God bless the Enclave, and God bless America.
Members, we look forward to your next visit to our little enclave.